Three dirt cheap SUVs rotting on the dealer lot that outlast Toyota RAV4. We need to talk about the Toyota RAV4 because the used car market has genuinely lost its mind over this thing. Prices are dropping almost everywhere else right now. Trucks, sedans, minivans, other SUVs, all coming back down to normal. Not the RAV4. People are still paying $11,000 to $12,000 for one with 150,000 miles already on it. 150,000 miles, priced like it just rolled off the truck. That's not a smart purchase. That's a tax. At that point, you're not paying for the engine or the transmission. You're paying for 4 letters on the hood. And look, I'm not telling you the RAV4 is a bad SUV. It's not. It's a good SUV that got turned into a status symbol. And status symbols always cost more than they're worth. The 3 SUVs coming up were built by engineers who cared about the same thing Toyota's engineers cared about back in the 90s. Before any of this got expensive, build something simple enough that it doesn't have much to break. Here's the trap almost everybody falls into. Somewhere along the way, people stopped asking what engine is in this and started just asking, is it a Toyota? You've probably done this yourself without even noticing. You open up Facebook Marketplace or AutoTrader, type in RAV4, and scroll through 40 listings arguing with yourself over which year has the least miles for the money. Meanwhile, 2 exits down the road, there's a completely different SUV running that same simple, hard-to-kill philosophy, and nobody's cross-shopping it because nobody typed its name into the search bar. So today we're doing 3 of them, all under $7,000. All picked because of what's actually under the hood, not what badge is on it. And I'm giving you the exact years to look for, because with a used car, the model year matters more than the name ever will. These 3 end up exactly where the title says, rotting in the back row of dealer lots. They come in as trade-ins when somebody buys a shiny new SUV, and because they're not the brand everybody's chasing, they just sit there for months while the sales team pushes whatever's parked up front. Quick favor before we start, hit like. Not for me. So the next person cross-shopping a RAV4 actually sees this before they overpay. Number 3, the Subaru Forester, 2016 or newer. I already know what some of you are thinking. Subaru, head gaskets. Here we go again. That reputation is real, but it belongs to the older 4-cylinder engines from the 2000s. We're not touching those years. We're talking about a 2016 or newer Forester, and by then, most of what gave Subaru that bad name was already fixed. Here's why this one's worth your time. Every single trim, every single year, comes with all-wheel drive standard. Not an upgrade, not a package you pay extra for. Standard, always. Subaru calls it Symmetrical All-Wheel Drive, and it's genuinely one of the best systems on the road at any price. Compare that to the RAV4, where plenty of trims are stuck in front-wheel drive, unless the original owner paid up for it. The Forester also sits up tall, with huge windows all the way around, so visibility is honestly better than almost anything else in this class, and it's been a top safety pick year after year. It also sits higher off the ground than most crossovers in this class, so light off-road trails, snow-covered driveways, and rutted dirt roads don't scare it the way they'd scare a lower RAV4. The engine itself is a flat 4, what Subaru calls a boxer engine, mounted low and wide in the engine bay instead of stacked up tall like most 4-cylinders. That's not just trivia. It lowers the center of gravity, which is a big part of why the Forester feels more planted in snow, rain, and tight corners than crossovers costing twice as much. One quick thing worth checking. This engine had an oil consumption issue that Subaru covered under warranty for a lot of owners. Most of these have already had that sorted by now, so just ask for service records or whether the fix was done. Once that's confirmed, these things just keep going, well past 200,000 miles with basic maintenance. The reason it's this cheap is honestly just perception. Subaru doesn't have the resale hype of a Toyota, so a 2016 Forester in good shape is sitting right now for around $6,000 to $7,000, while people line up to overpay for a RAV4 that doesn't even give you standard AWD. Look for a premium trim if you can find one, since it adds a few creature comforts without dragging the price up much. That's number 3. Number 2, the Mazda CX-5, 2016. This is the one that tends to surprise people the most. Specifically, you want a 2016, the last year before the redesign, with the 2.5-liter Skyactiv engine. Mazda did something almost nobody else in this segment was doing at the time. While everyone else was chasing fuel economy numbers with turbochargers and CVTs, Mazda built a simple high-compression engine with no turbo at all and bolted it to a normal 6-speed automatic. No CVT belt stretching out over time. No small turbo working overtime trying to make up for a small engine. Just a straightforward engine doing exactly what it's built to do, year after year. Sit inside one before you judge it by the price. Tight panel gaps, a dashboard that doesn't creak over potholes, seats that still hold their shape a decade later. Mazda was chasing a premium feel on a budget years before anyone else in this segment even tried. And if you can find one with all-wheel drive, even better, since Mazda's system reacts fast enough that most drivers never notice it working until they're the only car still moving on an icy road. And it's not only tough, it's actually enjoyable to drive, which is rare in this price range. It handles noticeably better than a RAV4. The interior feels more put together than a lot of Hondas at this price. And independent reliability data puts it right up there with Toyota and Honda, not somewhere behind them. Look for a touring trim if you can find one, since it adds a few extra comfort features without pushing the price up much. One thing worth checking before you hand over any money: the early Skyactiv engines had some reports of burning oil a little faster than they should. By 2016, most of that had already been cleaned up, but it only takes 30 seconds to check the oil level and ask about maintenance history with the seller standing right there. The real reason nobody's buying these is that Mazda just doesn't spend what Toyota spends convincing you it's reliable. For $7,000 or less, you're getting something more fun to drive than a RAV4 and every bit as tough. That's number 2. Number 1, the Honda CR-V, 2010 to 2011. This is the one that honestly feels illegal to sell this cheap. Look for a 2010 or a 2011. Here's why that exact window matters so much. Honda had an oil burning issue in the CR-V a few years before this, back in 2007 through 2009. A different issue showed up years later, once the turbo engines arrived in 2017. But 2010 and 2011 sit right in the gap between those two. After the early problems were already fixed, and years before the turbo headaches even started, this generation runs a simple 4-cylinder engine, the K24, paired with a normal automatic transmission. No turbo, no CVT, nothing trying to be clever. Just an engine Honda had already perfected by that point. One that just doesn't quit, mile after mile, with nothing more than oil changes and basic upkeep. I've personally seen a 2011 CR-V roll past 290,000 miles on its second owner, never once touched beyond routine maintenance. That's not a rare unicorn. That's just what this specific engine and transmission combination was built to do. Here's the strange part. Everybody already knows Honda makes reliable cars. That part isn't a secret. But most shoppers don't know which specific years to chase, so they end up buying whichever CR-V is parked closest to them. Sometimes one from the newer turbo years that already needed engine work. The 2010 and 2011 don't get special treatment, they just get lumped in with CR-Vs are reliable and left sitting on the lot. Meanwhile, that RAV4 everyone's fighting over has its own well-documented issues once the miles pile up, like an all-wheel drive coupling that tends to fail around 80,000 miles, or a steering shaft clunk that shows up on a lot of higher mileage models. A clean CR-V from this window just doesn't have those headaches waiting for you. You can still find one of these for $5,000 to $7,000 depending on mileage and trim, and the EX is usually the sweet spot for the money. Ask any independent mechanic, not a dealer, a mechanic, and given the choice between a high-mileage RAV4 and a clean CR-V from this era for the same money, most of them are taking the CR-V without thinking twice. That's why it's sitting at number 1. So there you go. 3 SUVs, all under $7,000. All sitting on lots right now, while everybody fights over the same overpriced RAV4. You don't need the badge to get something that lasts. You need the right year, the right engine, and about 10 minutes of homework before you go look at one, and now you've got all three. Quick recap in case you're just skimming. The Forester. If you want standard all-wheel drive and don't want to think twice about snow. The CX-5, if you actually want to enjoy driving the thing. And the CR-V, if you just want the safest, most boring, most bulletproof choice of the bunch. If this saved you some money, or just changed how you're going to shop this weekend, do me a favor and hit subscribe, because this is exactly what we do here every single week. Real numbers, real years, no fluff, no hype. And drop a comment telling me which one of these three you're actually going to go look at first. I read every single one of them. See you in the next one.